That is absolutely delicious. Wow, I was not expecting that. Typically, when you do blends, it flattens stuff out, but not in this case. This is very good, like really, really good. Welcome to Whiskey's a Journey. My name is Peter Fasciano, and today we are moving on with my top 5 bottle flight series. Today, we're doing part 3 of my bourbons. And boy, I gotta tell you, I've got one in store for you that is going to make your head spin with some of the sticker prices of some of these bourbons. So before I get started on this, I want to thank everybody. By the time I think this video is going to air, I'm going to have reached my 4,000 subscriber mark. So thank you all very much for being part of this community, for commenting down below, liking the videos, sharing the videos, doing all those things that are making this channel a pretty good success based on my expectations when I first started this. We're on the upward trend, so let's go ahead and keep this going as much as possible. Like, subscribe, share, do all those things that YouTubers ask you to do. And let's go ahead and jump into today's video. And if you're new here, basically what I'm doing is taking scotches and bourbons within my collection. I'm selecting 5 bottles with a particular whiskey, and I am smelling them and ranking them, and whichever glass comes out on top is going to advance to the next round. And like I had mentioned, this is going to be my 3rd flight within my bourbon category. My first one was 10-year bourbons. My second flight was my single barrel bourbons that I'm going to have another episode coming soon, probably somewhere around December. And today is going to be my top 5 finished bourbons. So let's jump into it with bottle number 1. Yellowstone, the 2022 limited edition. This is coming in at 101 proof, and it's finished in Marsala Superior casks. I paid $129.99, and I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, if you don't know. Once I get these things out here, I just have these little stickers on the bottom with the initials of whatever the bourbon is. I'm gonna mix them around, smell them, taste them, and then rank them, and then advance the number 1 glass to the next round. Move on to bottle number 2. Blood Oath pack number 8. This is finished in Calvados casks. It's coming in at 98.6 proof, and I paid $139.99. That will be in glass number 2. Moving on to bottle number 3. Foregate Andalusia Key 2. This actually is the only one that has an age statement. It's 7 years and 6 months. This is finished in Spanish Oloroso sherry and dark rum casks. 116.4 proof, and I paid $199.99, basically $200 with tax. All right, moving on to bottle number 4. Joseph Magnus Cigar Blend. This is batch 165, and this is finished in Armagnac, sherry, and cognac casks, coming in at 120.02 proof, and I paid $204.99. That's going to be in glass number 4. Let me go ahead and get the Foregate glass out here. And let's move on to the 5th and final bottle. Angel's Envy. This is the 2023 cask strength release. This is finished in port wine barrels. This is 118.2 proof, and I paid basically $300 with tax, and again, Phoenix, Arizona. So let me go ahead and clear all these things out of here, mix the glasses up, and then we'll get going. All right, glass number 5. And as I'm mixing these up, do me a favor, let me know in the comments down below if you have any finished bourbons, and if you do, which ones do you like, or do you shy away from the finished bourbons and just go traditional bourbon? I'd be curious to see and hear what everybody is drinking, what you like, what you don't like. And if you feel comfortable with it, if you do have any of these finished bourbons, let me know how much you paid for them. It seems for some reason the finished bourbons that I have seem to be a little bit higher in the dollar amount than the normal bourbons that I have. Just kind of curious to see if that whole process of finishing the bourbons is what's actually causing it to be such a high price. So let me know in the comments down below. All right, I've got all 5 of them set up. I'm just going to smell and taste the glass on my left and work my way to the right. I'm going to take some notes as I go, because my feeling is, since these are pretty sweet whiskeys with those finishes, I think they're all going to kind of blend together a little bit. So I want to make sure that I'm keeping specific notes on each glass and I'm going to try to attempt to guess on what's in each of these glasses. I'm probably going to fail miserably, and I think the only thing that's probably going to give this away will end up being the proof points, but we'll see. Let me go ahead and get the lids off of these and jump into the smell or the nose and the taste of all of these. And I'm going to put them all down right here so you have an idea of what they are. I'm just going to put YS for the Yellowstone, the FG for Four Gate, JM for Joseph Magnus, BO for Blood Oath, and then the AE for Angel's Envy. All right, even before I get these things up to my nose, there is a tremendous amount of sweetness that I'm getting. A little bit of confectioner sugar and fruit notes. But let's dive in there and see if I can actually narrow down what kind of fruit I'm getting from each of these. And I have a 1 ounce pour in each one of these. At the end, if you stick around, I'm gonna go ahead and blend them and see what the blend is like. All right, glass number 1 on the nose. All right, I get sweetness, and the sweetness that I'm getting is fruit sweetness. Stinging the nose a little bit, but I think that's probably gonna happen with all of these. I'm trying to pick up on any spice, but I think the sweetness is overpowering the spice. As far as what kind of fruit that I'm getting, I'm not quite sure yet, but there is maybe a red fruit note coming through. Let's get it on the palate. The proof on this seems to be pretty high. Confectionery, sugar, plus that fruit note. I don't want to mistake the spice in here that I'm getting from the ABV or the ethanol. So my gut instinct is telling me that there really isn't a spice note. That's just the ethanol. A little bit sugary, not necessarily a definable fruit note, but I would definitely lean towards the red fruit side of things. And maybe a little bit of a pink fruit as well, kind of like in that peach region. Still pretty good. Let me go ahead and jot that down. I move on to glass number 2. And I put these in the black Glencairns because I didn't want some of the colors to give anything away. All right, just like glass number 1, the sweetness is here. And the sweetness is sugar fruit sweet. I'm not getting any spice on the nose. Doesn't seem to be as proofy. I'm not getting as many ethanol vapors in my nose as I did for glass 1, but it smells very similar. Let's go ahead and get it on the palate. The proof doesn't seem to be as high as glass 1. The sweetness is there and it's fruit, leaning more towards the red side, maybe a slight amount of grape note as well, leaning more towards the red grape rather than green grape. A little bit of barrel, a little bit of oak, and maybe that's just because it's my second sip. I didn't quite get those oaky, leathery tobacco notes from this, but that could change going back the other direction. Yeah, I would pinpoint that as fruit sugar sweet. Red fruit sugar sweet. Almost like a strawberry bubble gum. My initial thoughts, I like glass 1 over glass 2. Let's get to glass 3. Pretty high in the ethanol. That strawberry bubble gum note is coming through. So I would say, again, sugar sweet, fruit sweet, on the red side, pretty dominant with the strawberry bubble gum. All right, let's get it on the palate. All right, that's higher proof than glass 2. That might even be higher proof than glass 1. And again, all of those notes are still the same. It's sweet, it's sugary, and it's fruit forward. Now that has a little bit of a pepper spice, separate and apart from the ethanol burn. I like this more than 1 and more than 2. Let's get on to glass number 4. Trying to be very methodical about this because I knew going in, because of all of the fruit sweetness that I got prior to actually doing this, I thought it was going to be a pretty tough one to actually separate the types of fruit sweetness that I'm getting. And I'm going to try to say fruit sweetness maybe 10 or 15 more times. All right, just like the others, I'm starting to get more of a strawberry bubblegum note. The sugar is there. Red fruit is there. Not a lot of spice. Very similar to the others. And I would say probably proof-wise, it's somewhere in between the two of these, but stronger than this one. So get it on the palate. Oh, wow. All right, that one is a little bit different. I think that seems to have a little bit more spice. The fruit note is there. Drinking a little bit hotter than all of the others. And that might be the combination of the spice plus the ethanol. All right, let's get to the final glass, glass number 5. This is going to be very, very difficult. They're all really good. This has the most powerful fruit note. This comes across as much sweeter than the other 4. No spice whatsoever. I think so far this smells the best, or at least it has the most aroma out of all of them. It's jumping out of the glass as opposed to actually nosing it and trying to pull the things out or pull the notes out of the glass. All right, let's get it on the palate. It has some spice and the fruit is there, and it's still in that same category as the red fruits. Get a little bit of barrel bitterness on that one and maybe a touch more oak than the others. I think the ABV is kind of like making the inside of my lips a little bit numb, but that also just could be drinking all of these in succession. All right, for this next part, I'm gonna go back the other direction. I'm gonna rinse with water. I just wanted to get my initial reactions out. I'm gonna speed this up and then I'll jump back in after I take a little bit more notes. I'm going to guess which one each is, and then I'm gonna give you my rankings. I'll be right back. All right, I am back. It's crazy how they all started to blend together. I think I have my order in which I prefer them, and I have no idea, maybe with the exception of one, what they are. So let me go ahead and give you my bottle guesses from left to right, and then I'll give you my rankings. The first glass, I thought this was the Angel's Envy. I think this was the Blood Oath, the Foregate in glass 3, Joseph Magnus in glass 4, and the Yellowstone in glass 5. I think the ABV was significantly less in these two, which made me think Blood Oath and Yellowstone. The others, I'm not exactly sure. They were just pure guesses. Now, as far as my ranking goes, glass number 2, I'm going to put this in 5th place. Glass 5, I'm going to put in 4th place. Glass 1 is in 3rd place. And then glass 4 is my 2nd place, and glass 3 is coming out on top. I don't necessarily think any of my notes have changed. I get all sugar, confectionery, red fruit sweetness in all of these, with the exception of these last 2. I thought they all didn't really have much spice to talk about, but especially in glass 4, I think that spice note was a little bit more dominant than anything else. I think glass number 3 drank a little bit hot, maybe a little bit too hot to pick out the spice, but I think it hit my palate the best as far as the flavors go, along with that high proof. So that's why I put that one in first. All right, so let's go ahead and see how I did with the bottle guesses. You already know. And we're gonna start with glass number 2, which was in my 5th place, and I thought this was Blood Oath. And this is Yellowstone. So I got that wrong. So glass number 2 is actually Yellowstone. My 4th place was glass 5, and glass 5 I thought was Yellowstone, and that's obviously not. This is Blood Oath. Okay, so I flip-flopped those. And that, I think that makes sense because they are the lowest proof, 98.6 and 101. The 2 lowest proofs, I just flip-flopped them, and those ended up being my 5th and 4th place. Moving on to my 3rd place, glass number 1. I thought this was Angel's Envy, and it is Foregate. So I am doing a bang-up job guessing these. I'm thinking my single barrel bourbon video was just a fluke when I guessed all of them. So bottle or glass number 4, I put this in second place, and I thought this was the Joseph Magnus, and it is not. It is the Angel's Envy. So I got every single one of these wrong. And then first place was glass number 3, and the only thing left is the Joseph Magnus, and I guessed that to be the Foregate. So there you have it. Blinds are extremely difficult to guess which bottle is in which glass. If you've never done blinds before, I highly encourage you to do some blinds. For me, when I first started doing this, I didn't do any blinds. They kind of, to be honest, they kind of scared me. I didn't want to just go into them blind and try to figure out what was in the glasses. But it does a really good job of trying to pinpoint exactly what your preferences are and whether you can pull specific notes out. It's very good practice to try to hone in on what you're actually getting in the bottle without actually knowing what bottle it is. So that's it. Before I go, I am going to pour these into a clear Glencairn and see what the blend is like. And my Joseph Magnus is now going to be my 3rd bourbon within my 5 bottle flights. I think I have 2 more to go. I'm going to do a bottled and bond, and then my last single barrel bourbon. And then I'm going to take the winners of all 5 flights, put them up against each other, and figure out which one I like the most within my collection. So I'm going to pour a little bit of each of these in the clear Glencairn. And as I'm doing this, just a reminder, if you like this information and you are not subscribed to the channel, there's a little button down there. Just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you are familiar with any of these bourbons, let me know in the comments down below what you think of them. If you have done blinds before, where do you think, or where did they land for you? And just in general, if you know anything about any of these, what is your preference? I understand that a lot of these are limited editions. They're older, from 2022, and they are, relatively expensive. And I just need to let you know, where I choose to spend my money might not necessarily be the way that you spend yours. I'm not telling you how to spend your money. I would never do that. You just need to understand that I do run a YouTube channel. I'm single. I don't have any kids. I've never been married. So I'm choosing to put my money towards this channel. So with that, let's go ahead and get this blend on the nose. It smells like all of the others, which is expected. They all had very similar fruit notes in there, so I wouldn't expect that I would get anything different here. Maybe a little bit more on the spice side, and the ethanol is definitely capturing my attention. Let's get it on the palate, see what I think. Proofy, sweet, confectioner sugar, red fruits. That is absolutely delicious. Wow, I was not expecting that. Typically, when you do blends, it flattens stuff out, but not in this case. This is very good, like really, really good. I think there's a really good amount of spice that also balances out the amount of sweetness that's in the glass, which is weird because this is spicier than any of the others combined. I know the spice note that I got in glass number 4 was there, but with all of them together, it's spicier. This is a dessert in a glass. I wouldn't quite go to the point where I'm getting chocolate notes out of this, but there's a good amount of tobacco and leather. Maybe the oak notes are really starting to come out of the glass. Let's get one last sip in. Yeah, that is very good. It might be a touch on the ethanol side, but the fruit sweetness and the spice is really good. And I guess that is all I have for you today. Wherever you're at in your journey, I hope you're enjoying it. And until the next time, we'll talk to you later. Bye.